Choose life, choose a sport, choose a drop zone, choose a start time, choose a fucking big jump plane, choose turbine engines, speed, unlimited altitude, and endless horizons. Choose height, no low turns, and travel insurance. Choose jump tickets, choose tiny action cameras, choose your mates, choose a rig and matching helmet, choose swoop shorts and a range of fucking fabrics, choose 120 vertical speed and wondering who the fuck you are on a Sunday morning. Choose sitting on that couch, watching debriefs, spirit-saving slow-mos, smashing beers after last load. Choose standing on the podium at the end of it all. Choose a win you'll love every time. And the reasons? There are no reasons. Who needs reasons when you fly NZ Aerosports?
Of course, I absolutely love the NZ Aerosports business model. I mean, come on. One glance at an Icarus fuck yeah sticker and you know it lines up perfectly with the fucking pilot mentality. But outside their wonderful use of colorful language and a great company vibe, there's a long list of reasons to say NZ Aerosports, fuck yeah. NZ Aerosports blows me away right out of the gate as a canopy manufacturer with a bold offer. They give you 10 jumps on your brand new nylon to decide if you want to keep it, swap it out, or even return it for a refund. I mean, seriously, how incredible is that? That's like getting halfway through a prom and deciding you prefer the slightly racier date that goes down faster. Seriously, they do that. If you're not madly in love with your new canopy after 10 jumps, they'll let you swap it out for another size or model, or even get your money back. And the range of canopies they've got? Man, they've got a style canopy to fit every jumper and every situation with models you know and trust, like the Sapphire 3, the perfect choice for the beginner or intermediate canopy pilot. The Crossfire 3, when you're ready to kick it up that elliptical notch. The JFX 2, if you're looking to up your new swoop game. The Leia as the workhorse and dirtwater dirt beast, or the Petra. The Petra cranks out crazy power and is nothing short of a record breaker. But hey, it's not always about speed either. Take the Kraken. Built as a low pack volume canopy specifically with wingsuiting in mind, she gives you all the performance you're looking for with the reliability you need that'll have you itching for that next formation, rodeo, or puffy cloud. So the equipment is top of the line kick-ass stuff as you already know, but how about the team? Well, the customer service gang is there to sort you out whenever you need them. Maddie and Beto are always there to help with Jen holding the reins. They're available for you at sales@nzaerosports.com, and they've got a kick-ass live chat tool on the website if you're wanting to hit someone up right away. These are the crew you're going to want to talk to get those custom orders in. With the stock nylon, once you know what you want, they'll have that shit on a FedEx truck as soon as the credit card machine says approved and get you in the air in no time. For your custom orders, you'll be able to get a time frame for building and shipping when you design it, so get to it. And demos. They've got demos in the US available from their partner Rock Sky Market. The whole US demo fleet is there with Sapphire 3, Crossfire 3, Kraken, JFX2, and Leia canopies in a range of sizes. They also offer student and tandem demos in the US. Bottom line, every step of the way, NZ Aerosports is there to get you what you need, and I personally couldn't be happier to be teamed up with them here on Lunatic Fringe. Hell, they've even got a special offer for all you lunatic listeners out there. Just head to pages.nzaerosports.com/into the void. That's pages.nzaerosports.com/into the void and follow the instructions to register a website account with them. You'll score a discount voucher with $20 towards any purchase over $200. I mean, come on. You know you're going to shop with NZ Aerosports, so grab a little extra cash towards that buy and enjoy. The offer is good until the 31st of December, and the voucher's good for 3 months, so go register now. And now, time to get started with Lunatic Fringe Into the Void, brought to you proudly by NZ Aerosports. Fuck yeah.
Coming straight from the cockpit, it's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go. Back in the can for another edition of Lunatic Fringe Into the Void with a fun one, because this particular person I have a lot of way back memories from, and before we were on the podcast, we were talking about just how fucking long it's been. So I want to dive right in and talk to, well, who the fuck are you and what do you do?
Who the fuck am I? I am Paul Wetzel. Most people in the skydiving world know me as Weasle because third graders call me Weasle, and skydivers are like a bunch of grown-up third graders. So the
Pretty
name
much
reappeared in my later years. I am a skydiver ever since 1990, and I am a retired military dude. I was infantry for a bit, flew helicopters for the last 13 years of my career, and I'm currently living the retired life, sending my wife to work every morning and sleeping in, which is great. And just got done with going back to school, got a career, or got a degree in culinary arts and food and beverage entrepreneurship, and I'm starting out my own food truck business.
Oh, dude, that's so fucking epic. First off, Weasle, goddamn, it's so good to talk to you. It has been so fucking long. The goofy shit that we got up to I think we worked together for maybe a couple of years back, kind of in the beginning of my career, were so much fucking fun, and they kind of set the tone for so many bizarre years in my life that it's awesome to finally catch up to you after a full military career.
Yeah, man, it's good to hear from you again. It's I think we decided it's been about 17 or 18 years since we've actually talked to each other. So it's definitely good to hear your voice again.
Yeah, man, and we've got so many crazy stories that I actually wanted. That one of the funnest things about this is going to be seeing if I remember shit the same way other people remember the same dumb shit that we used to do.
We certainly have some dumb shit we did.
Right. But I don't know. It's been so long and the hair's getting a lot grayer. So I wonder if the memories are fading as much as the color in my hair. It's going to be really fun for somebody else that was there for a lot of this shit. But I want to jump back to all the way to the beginning of when you started in. And we don't consider it extreme, it's just skydiving, but when did you start doing anything extreme, anything that's kind of slightly out of the ordinary, and how did that lead you to jumping out of airplanes?
Well, jumping out of airplanes was probably the first thing that I did that could be considered extreme. I grew up a boring suburban white kid in Phoenix, Arizona. I played basketball in high school and went away to college at the University of Arizona. And I remember it's one of the few things that I remember very well. I was 19 years old at a party with some friends, and I had a couple beers in me. And of course, every 19-year-old dude with a couple beers is 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And I heard a couple people talking about looking to jump out of an airplane. And of course, I walked up. I was like, "Yeah, I'd totally do that. Let's jump out of a plane. How big of a deal is that?"
Right.
And one of them was my friend talking to one of his other friends, and he says, "Yeah, hey, we've got an appointment this Saturday." Or next Saturday at this place, Miranda Skydiving Center. You want to go with us? And on the outside, I was like, hell yeah, I'll go with you. On the inside, I was thinking, what the fuck did I just get myself into? So that next Saturday, we went December 9th of 1990, showed up at the drop zone, did the first jump course for static line progression, jumped out of a Cessna 182. And there's a guy named Greg Behrens who was the jump master, who was the instructor, and took us through everything we needed to do, and got up to altitude. He opened the door and he said, "All right, put your foot out on the step." And my reaction was, "What?" Put your foot out on the step, and I thought, "Fuck, here we go."
Right.
And as soon as he looked out at me on the step and he said, "Go." As soon as I stepped off, I thought to myself, this is it. This is me forever. I'm doing this. Oh, wait, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. All right, canopy's open. Good. But my first thought as soon as I stepped off was this is something for me.
See,
so that's how I got started.
That's fucking cool. But you started static line. I mean, most of the people that I talk to nowadays, with the exception of the real OGs, all started doing tandems. But you did it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, they didn't even offer AFF at drop zone. So 1990, I don't really remember hearing about AFF as an option. And they were doing tandems at that drop zone, but I didn't even hear about that until I'd gone a couple times. And the funny thing is, I was selling my plasma to get jump money. I would go to the plasma center during the week. Yeah, I think it was like. So this is 1990, so it's 30 years ago. The first time you go during the week, it was $10 they'd give you, and if you showed up the second time, they'd give you $20. And I think that it was like $30 or $40 for once you got past the first jump course. First jump course for me was $85.
Oh, fucking
So I did
hell.
my first jump course, started selling my plasma, and I got my first 9 or 10 jumps there, and skydiving and beer drinking took their toll, and I dropped out of school and moved up to Oregon where my parents were living at the time, and
Right.
picked up AFF there.
So wait, so you were only selling plasma. You weren't doing the whole sperm thing? Like there's not a bunch of little weasels running around out there, is there?
Fuck, I hope not.
They're all going to come want jobs in the food truck, man.
Yeah, right.
Well, so back in Oregon, you started AFF.
Yeah, I went to my parents were living in just outside of Portland. So I went to Skydive Oregon in Molalla, which is about 45 minutes south of Portland, and told them what I did, brought my logbook, and they looked at everything, and they put me on. They wanted me to, because I had 3 or 4, maybe 5 free fall jumps, clear and pull, and then a 5-second delay, then a 10-second delay. So they put me on whatever the level was. They wanted me to go up with 2 instructors or 2 jump masters. So I jumped with 2 people. I did okay, so they progressed me, and I only had to do 2 more to graduate AFF, something like that, and started fun jumping as much as I could.
Sure.
And then that's when I initially joined the Army was October of 91. So by the time I joined the Army in October, in the 10 months since I started, I had about maybe 50 jumps at the most.
Okay. So wait, you joined the Army young. You rocked out of college because you were drinking beer and having too much fun. Start jumping again in Oregon. First off, what did mom and dad think of you showing back up, not only not in college anymore, but jumping out of airplanes?
Well, my parents actually paid for my first jump. After that party, when I agreed to go skydiving, it was early December, so I called my parents. I was short on money. I said, "Hey, Mom, Dad, I've been a good boy this year. Do you feel like buying me a Christmas present?" They said, "Yeah, I guess. What do you want?" I said, "I want to go skydiving. It's $85. Can you send it by next weekend? Because I already told my friends I was going to go." And I was talking to my mom, and I heard a big sigh. She just said, "All right, I'll send you a check." So it's just their dumbass son is just par for the course for me.
Sure.
But when I was leaving school, it was in the middle of the semester. And I knew I'd screwed up, and my dad basically gave me an ultimatum. He said, "Look, you're wasting your time, wasting my money. So if you're going to screw up like this, I'm done after this semester." So I've kind of put together a plan, called my parents, said, "Look, I'm dropping out of the Army. I'm going to join, or I'm dropping out of school. I'm going to join the Army. I've talked to the recruiter, but they don't have any slots for me until October 1st. I don't know if that was just the recruiter trying to get me to fill a slot in some other MOS he needed filled, but
sure.
I said, can I live with you, work until I join the Army?" And my parents said, "Yeah, you have until October. And as you're working, you need to give us your paycheck because you agreed to pay back your semester's tuition if you didn't finish." And I was like, "All right."
Right.
But so half of my check for that summer went to my parents, and the other half went to Skydive Oregon.
Nice. So you racked up a few jumps in Skydive Oregon, but then you ended up going into the Army.
I did. I wanted to be a big war hero, so I joined on a contract to go into the 75th Ranger Regiment, and ended up doing all the stuff, basic training, AIT. Went to airborne school, which is not the same as skydiving, which
Right.
I kind of knew, but I was on my 5th jump in airborne school. Last jump, I had a door position, and you're standing in the door for 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm looking out, and we're flying I think it was a C-141 we were jumping that day. It's low level. It's 800 to 1,000 feet above the ground, flying over the ground, and the jump master, he's standing in front of me. He goes, "We're pretty fucking high up here, aren't we?" I said, "No, this is really fucking low." And he just looked at me, and green light turns on. He says, "Go," and I jumped out, did my fifth jump at airborne school, got my wings, and went on from there.
Wow. I mean, that was so, but this was so many years before I met you. And, it's kind of funny because I had no idea that before I met you, you'd been in the military.
Yeah, I did. Joined in 91. I was active duty until 98, January of 98. I got out, did National Guard for a year and a half. And when I was active duty, I'd gotten married when I lived in Louisiana, went to Korea for a few months, and she hauled ass up to Connecticut with some other dude. So I came home to nothing.
Oh, fuck.
Just, I got the John Deere letter.
Right.
She left with a farmer. But I ended up doing the National Guard. They were paying for school. Got tired of that. And I don't know if you knew, did you ever know Stuart Kavanaugh at Skydive Las Vegas?
I'm sure we crossed paths, but it doesn't sound familiar off the top of my head.
Yeah, he used to run the drop zone down in Texas where I used to jump. He worked for Mikey Hawks.
Cool.
And he put in a good word for me. When I was just done living in Louisiana, I said, I need to get a change. And Stuart said, hey, they're always looking for people out in Vegas. So I sent an email to Michael Hawks and said, hey, I'm a friend of Stuart. And I guess Stuart called him or something, said, hey, check out Weasle. He's a good dude. And,
right.
I told Michael, I'm going to get my tandem rating. So I don't have that, but Stuart was an examiner. I said, I'll talk to Stuart. I'll get my rating and I can be out there as soon as this next semester's over. So I went out. Michael Hawk said, yeah, come on out for a weekend, hang out. I think what he was doing was giving me a chance to see how he operated, how things were out there before I committed.
Right.
And having just come out of the military, the yelling and the Michael Hawks thing didn't bother me.
Right.
I'd heard worse from better.
Sure.
To kind of put it in perspective. And at the end of the weekend, I said, hey, I would love to come out and work for you. He said, we'd love to have you. So I went back home. That was during my spring break at school in Louisiana. Went back, finished the semester, packed all the stuff I owned out of my trailer. And I lived in a trailer in Louisiana. Imagine that.
Of course.
Yeah. My roommate drove me out to Skydive Las Vegas. I unloaded all my stuff in the back of the hangar, slept on the couch out in the hangar for about 2 weeks. When I finally found a place to live just up the street, and then I started the life of a professional skydiver for almost just over a year and a half. I think it was about 19 months from about April until December of the next year.
Sure. Oh, dude, it's funny because I remember vaguely when you started because I'd been there for a little while. That was my home drop zone. So I'd been jumping there since 96 was when I started jumping in Vegas, or maybe right at the end of 95 into 96. But I started working relatively soon after that. But I remember when you showed up at the drop zone, you and I became friends pretty quick, as most of the people on the drop zones do. It was a small drop zone as far as size goes. There weren't that many people. We only used the Otter on the weekends.
We had. What do we have on staff? We normally have 6 or 7 people.
Yeah. It wasn't a huge operation, but fuck, we were busy all the time. But I guess that's why it kind of surprises me that you had that military time beforehand that I didn't know about, because you were a goofy motherfucker, man.
Oh yeah, the military didn't quite ruin me.
No, man, you got rid of whatever the military instilled in you was gone quick, because I had no clue. You were, always scruffy, hair always kind of a mess, totally goofy, and fell right into the positive side of that drop zone, which was we had a fuckload of fun with our students. Dude, we were goofy as fuck with those students, not to mention, at least half of the time it was some hot chick out of Vegas.
Oh yeah, of course.
Which never hurt. But we got into some weird shit, dude. I was going through some of my old videos, and there's videos of us, especially when Jim Dolan would be doing tandems. Shout out to Jim. And so where did we get into the habit of stealing the female students' socks and eating them? How did that get started?
We're a bunch of morons. I don't know. We just did the same thing day after day after day, and just like anything, it's you were in the Navy. I'm sure you had times out on the ships when you're out to sea where it's the same thing day after day, and you just get so bored with the daily routine.
Sure.
You got to make it fun.
Sure.
And it's the thing you did yesterday to make it fun just isn't that much fun today. So you got to come up with something even more extreme.
Right.
It's more fun.
Right.
And
right.
that led to sock eating, I'm sure.
Yeah, which was, I don't even know how that got started. There was picking your nose vigorously on camera. There was stealing and eating socks on camera and all that stuff. And then, of course, and we have to talk about this, the fart contest.
Oh, Lord.
So
those were the days.
How did that get started? So anybody that's listening that has read a lot of my articles in Blue Skies will remember the one that I wrote about the fart competition in the plane. For those of you that have read that article, this is the fucking guy that I did this competition with. But I don't even remember. I mean, it used to just kind of be an unspoken farting thing back and forth, primarily between you and I.
Oh, yeah. I was always the last one out of the otter, so I was sitting up front, and you were always doing videos, so you were sitting in the back.
Right.
And it was just kind of dueling farts, and farts are funny, man. Nisha has to. My wife still. I mean, to this day, I'll say something or I'll let one loose and laugh, and she'll look at me. All she has to say to me is 49. You're 49 years old and you're still doing this shit.
See, now, this is actually one place that I know I've changed a little bit. I'm 2.5 years into a relationship with the girl that I'm with, and I've never farted in front of her.
Oh, dude.
I know.
Then how do you know if it's the right one or not?
I know.
You got to test the relationship.
But I got to wait until it's completely the wrong moment, like the most horrifying possible moment to have an incredibly vicious fart, and then you'll know. Like, it can't just be a squeaker as you're sitting down on the couch. It's got to be like, during the middle of a bridesmaid speech at a wedding, and it's got to be greasy. One of those.
Well, yeah.
But
or it's when you get in the car and you lock the windows and let one loose and turn the heater on.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Those are the ones you got to do. But so back to the competition. So I don't remember how it got started, but we ended up actually, if I remember correctly, we had a conversation and decided tomorrow it's on. I think.
I don't remember that conversation, but it was. It would not surprise me.
Well, the only reason that I recall that in my own memory is because I specifically the night before had my ultimate recipe for gassy, and that was to go to the Lone Star Steakhouse, have a massive fucking steak with all the trimmings and bacon and the everything, and then that morning on the drive to the drop zone was my my nuclear option, which was to eat an entire loaf of cinnamon raisin bread on the way to the drop zone. And it would then by load fucking 5 it's just fallout every load for 1,000 feet. But so now here's where I want to see if our memories match. You remember what ended up happening on the final load?
Yeah, we almost killed a guy.
Yeah, so you got to tell me your version of this.
I remember that load. It's one of the times that I genuinely felt bad, but it wasn't going to stop what I was doing.
Right.
Because for those that may not know, Skydive Las Vegas we had a contractor, had a deal with a Japanese guy in town who was a tour guide. And he would take people to all these attractions and take them to the place where you can shoot guns at the indoor range and skydiving. And, if it costs $200 for skydive, he'd charge his customers $300. So he's making a shit ton of money. So he brought us a lot. We had like 30% of our clients were Japanese tourists.
Oh, at least.
Yeah. And this little Japanese guy, he was probably about 5'7", maybe weighed 105 pounds. Little guy, he's probably 50 years old.
Yeah.
And he was nervous, didn't speak English. And like I said, I was always last one out. You were the first one out. So we'd been at it all day. And this guy was nervous getting on the plane, probably wanted to puke before he got on the plane.
Right.
I'm letting them loose. You're letting them loose, and it's like the nor'easter, the perfect storm.
Right.
It all met probably right inside this guy's mouth and nose, and we're climbing altitude in the Twin Otter, which was, I think the serial number of that Twin Otter was like 30. It was like the 30th Twin Otter ever made.
Right.
And I don't know if you ever heard about this or not, but Michael Hawks actually flew that thing until it had 0.1 left on its life.
I don't doubt that.
So this thing had the 100 series engines or whatever the slowest engines in the world are.
Right.
So it took us 20 minutes to get to altitude, and about 5 minutes in, this guy starts retching and heaving. And was Dale his instructor?
It was either Dale or Burgess.
Either way, it was awesome.
Right.
But we all carried gallon Ziploc bags because people like to puke on us. And
in Vegas for
with
sure.
Those old harnesses. Oh yeah. So this guy nearly fills a bag. He's leaning over. Looks like he's halfway unconscious. Eyes are closed. He looks like those videos of the little kids who are trying to stay awake and eat their ice cream at the same time, but he's trying to stay awake and barf in the bag. And you and I are laughing our asses off. Everybody else is holding their nose, and you and I are just going at it. And we didn't stop, man. We didn't stop. And we all go do our tandems, and at our Sunday evening end of the week staff meeting, Hawks was fucking pissed. He was yelling at you and yelling at me, but he's pointing at you, pointing at me, and yelling. And he's saying, "You guys." He never specifically said Dean or Weasle. He just saying all of you guys, but pointing at just you and me. And
right.
Everybody else is sitting there quiet, and you and I are laughing. And I'm trying not to laugh. It's like trying not to laugh at a funeral. You just can't help it sometimes. And I was holding my face, laughing. You're over there laughing, and the thought going through my head was, Dean and I are going to have to go look for a job. I literally thought we were going to get fired that night.
For farting.
Yeah, he had a new policy. He made a company memo signed by the boss and everything. New company policy: no farting on the plane because of you and me.
Yep. Oh, dude. Yeah. And that was bragging rights forever. Is that we made some poor human being vomit, and we were the reason for the no farting rule in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and that poor old dude, the poor Japanese dude, when we landed, he's waiting for the rest of his group from that tour guide. He's halfway leaning on the couch. He was green. His skin was like a light green color. And I think that's when it really hit me, and I felt bad. I was like, oh, all right, we did bad, but
yeah,
it's so funny.
He turned the color of what was coming out of our asses, man.
Oh, man, yeah.
Well, you know what shocked me about that whole thing was we're having this war, and every other staff member on that plane all day long knew exactly who the fuck was doing it. Like, it wasn't like it was any secret. Everybody knew. But I remember on one of those loads sitting across from Simon Wade, who you would have thought at some point would have just gone, dude, fuck, enough, man. And nobody said a thing. Not one person was like, you guys need to stop this shit. And I think that's part of why we just kept going and going. It was vicious.
Yeah. Simon, he was the drop zone operations manager or something like that.
Yeah.
Had he told us to stop, I would have stopped.
Ure. Me too.
By no means am I blaming all this on Simon. Because I did it voluntarily. I had a great time doing it, but had he told me to stop, I would have stopped. I'm at least that professional that when the boss says quit making the tandem students barf, I'll stop.
Sure. Well, and the bottom line was, out of all the authority figures on that drop zone, Simon was the one I had respect for.
Yeah, he again military. He was military, so he kind of had a good idea of how to balance the being an asshole with being the not the buddy, but the firm.
Sure.
The firm leadership that makes you want to say, oh, okay, I got what you're saying.
Well, kind of that was the brilliance of how he handled himself, though, right? Because he knew exactly what you were up to, and he had done all those things before, and you knew one of the reasons that he kind of tolerated some of the shit that we would pull was because he had done it all before. But that's part of why you respected him, is because he let you get away with a lot, and you knew if you were crossing a line, he'd be the one to go, and he wouldn't be fucked up about it, because who needed two Michael Hawks on that fucking drop zone. Right? He'd be the one to pull you to the side nicely and go, look, you need to not do this. Or he'd be the one to warn you off that fucking Hawks was about to, go on another rant and here it was coming. So he was the one that I had a lot of respect for. I had no respect at all for Michael Hawks. I had fear for Michael Hawks because we were making too much fucking money.
Yeah. Simon was a perfect middle management type of figure.
Yes.
He was a good buffer between Michael and us.
Oh.
Going back to what I was talking about, getting my tandem rating to work at Skydive Las Vegas. I did my 5 initial jumps with a licensed skydiver, got signed off by my buddy Stuart in Texas, went to Vegas, and I had to do 5 more with a licensed skydiver. And Michael asked me if I had done my 5 yet, and I said no. I was waiting on Simon to. Can't remember exactly how I phrased it, but I said I was waiting on Simon to be done with something so that I could review and get signed off.
Sure.
And Simon came. He taught me early on. I mean, I hadn't even done a paying jump yet, and he taught me that words matter with Michael Hawks, because if it can get distorted, it's going to get distorted with Michael Hawks.
Yeah.
Because Simon pulled me outside and he said, "What the fuck did you tell him?" I said, I was waiting to get your signature, or waiting to talk to you. And apparently Michael had told Simon that I'd said, I can't do it because I'm waiting on Simon, or something like that. And I explained to Simon, I said, nope, look, this is what I said. And Simon was telling me, I mean, he was kind of not in my face, but he's like, look, don't make me look bad.
Right.
Don't say this shit. And I'm thinking, fuck, I don't even have my tandem rating and I'm getting fired from this place.
Right. Well, dude, that was, I mean, the time that I worked for him, not the time that I was just jumping in that drop zone, but for the maybe 2.5 years that I worked for Hawks, he went through 250 staff members, not just jumpers,
Yep.
but jumpers, packers, pilots. I mean, fuck me, that guy, he was absolutely insane. I mean, I've seen people last literally less than an afternoon at that drop zone, and I forget which jumper it was, got hired and fired the same day and went after Hawks with a padlock in his hand. I mean,
I wasn't there for that, but yeah, I was there just over a year and a half, and Burgess, I think Simon and Burgess they write the name of people who got fired on the inside of their locker. And I mean, their list was enormous, and just out of fun, I started doing that about 9 months in. So I had about 9 months worth of names, and it was probably 35 names.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, dude, it was crazy. And for some reason, I managed to, when I started shooting video for them, I was third string because Steve Werner was first string, Danny Kuhn was second string, and then he brought me on, and this was right after Vic Papadoto had died there on a jump,
Yeah.
and Hawks was convinced he needed a third cameraman. Well, Steve and Danny were not happy that I got hired because they didn't want a third, and they were under the impression that I would just take the occasional jump here and there. And Hawks, he loved to piss people off, so instantly I just became the third guy in rotation. So they were not fucking happy about that. And because of that, he was always ripping into Steve or Danny, and I kind of slid under the radar for a long time. But Steve eventually left, and then Danny, I don't know if he actually left or got fired, but he didn't leave under great circumstances. And then all of a sudden now I'm first string camera guy. And I remember being on the packing mat, and he happened to be in the hangar for something, and I made a comment to somebody that he decided he didn't like, and he fucking went off on me. Saturday afternoon, packed fucking hangar, people everywhere, and he probably spent a solid 10 minutes just screaming and yelling at me, and he kept calling me a fucking prima donna, which somehow fucking Dale Hinton and Simon Wade took prima donna and shortened that into princess, which I am still fucking known as princess to this goddamn day.
I remember, was it Burgess that bought you that little girl shirt that said princess on it?
Yes.
Like in sparkly letters?
Yes.
God, I remember you putting that on, and you wore that thing around the drop zone with pride, dude. That was one of the funniest things. You walk in and you got this princess shirt. I mean, it's hard to get me, make me have a loss for words, but I had nothing to say, dude. All I could do was laugh.
Well, that was the funny thing was they gave me that shirt. If you remember, I was leaving the drop zone because I was working again at the club. And I just kind of had enough, Skydive Las Vegas after 2.5 years just had finally burned me out. And I'm like, something, I can't work here anymore. And I was working back at the club again, making a fuckload of money. And so they kind of threw me a goodbye dinner at P.F. Chang's in town in Vegas.
Right.
And I didn't drink. Like, I didn't drink at all, but Dale and Simon and all the Brits decided that it was horribly offensive if I was not going to drink with them at my goodbye party. And so I think it was Dale kept buying shots of Glenlivet got me so fucking drunk that I ended up leaving the party halfway through, getting into the backseat of my car, vomiting everywhere, and spending the entire night in my running car in the parking lot of P.F. Chang's because it was cold. I had to jump the next day because it wasn't officially my last day. I had like a week or so left to jump there. And everybody was absolutely sure there was no fucking way I was showing up the next day. And I remember waking up about, 4 o'clock in the morning in the car, finally starting to feel human again because I'd left that party at like 9 o'clock at night. And I managed to get myself home and shower all the puke off of me. And I had that pink shirt, and I'm like, oh, fuck these guys. They did that on purpose. And I went to the drop zone with that goddamn pink shirt on because I'm like, fuck all of you. You're not winning. Oh, dude, that was some craziness. And it was all of that stuff. And back to the Japanese tourists, I mean, that was the best part about that drop zone because that tour guy that brought all the Japanese tourists to us would tell them on the van ride to the drop zone that it was dishonorable to not tip your cameraman and your tandem instructor at least $20.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I mean, you remember you'd get so many fucking tips from the Japanese tourists that you'd forget to cash your paychecks.
Yeah. The thing about the Japanese tourists is, it's either next to nothing or a decent $20 tip. Remember we used to use the term kenji?
Yes.
Because I had two Japanese guys in a row named Kenji, and they both tipped me $1. So from then on, if a Japanese tourist tipped you $1, you got kenji.
Yep.
And I remember, I think it was Dale. But Dale not giving a shit.
Right.
He got a $1 tip from a Japanese guy one time, and he's standing right by the soda machine. And the guy hands him $1, thank you very much, walks away. And as he's walking away, Dale goes, "Hey, anybody else want a soda? I got enough for 2," because it was 50 cents a soda there.
Right.
And I was like, "Holy shit, dude!" Right in front of the guy. I mean, he didn't speak English probably.
Yeah. Oh, Dale didn't
that
give
was
a fuck,
pretty
though.
harsh.
Dale didn't give a fuck.
No.
Well, I mean, the other thing, too, with the Japanese is they would come out, and I still to this day don't understand. If you took me to a country where I did not speak the language and expected me to strap myself to somebody that I couldn't talk to and go make a skydive, you're out of your fucking mind. No goddamn way. But they would come out, and every morning they'd come. There'd be a big group, and we all learned just a few phrases. So it was Ohayo gozaimasu, skydiving ikimashou, swatte kudasai, and then you'd ask them episode, or you'd ask them if they were scared. And then the fucked up jokes that we would have with like JJ especially is you'd call him Ogama Boy. Remember that shit? Ogama Boy, or what was the one JJ always used to use was Sensei Mechi Mechi Krukrupa, which was supposed to be something like crazy in the head. So these poor Japanese don't fucking speak English, and all we're saying to them is like, good morning, let's go skydive, act like a shrimp, and your instructor's gay.
Yep.
And they would, all day long, oh, God, it was amazing.
Now that you put it in perspective, that's pretty fucked up.
Right? There's no way. Dude, if I showed up to some drop zone and the only thing somebody could say to me in English was act like a shrimp and this guy is gay, no.
Yeah.
Not happening.
Well,
but
and they were all so quiet and so timid.
Yes.
Especially the ladies, they were always just quiet. And I started messing with them. In the plane, I'd kind of, again, this goes back to trying to find something more offensive and more fun than what we did yesterday.
Sure.
So I started having them, I'd put my hand out with my fist and tell them, kind of gesture for them to do it. And I'd turn my turn it so the back of my hand's down, and they do that. I'd grab their hand and I'd just pull their middle finger out, and I'd have them flip off the plane. And they did not know what to make of that. I mean, some of them would kind of chuckle and pull their hand back, and others would look like they were scared that they just offended somebody for real. And
well, but that's kind of where
again,
that's a lot where like the mentality of especially guys like Dale and Simon, like when those two were together, even though he was a manager position, when Dale and Simon started riffing off of each other, they were pretty fucking over the top.
Oh yeah.
And for those that don't know who Simon Wade and Dale Hinton are, they're hardcore Brits. They military and did all kinds of hardcore stuff in the military, and then transitioned into civilian skydiving. And they've got that very dry English sense of humor, and they just don't appear to give a fuck about anything on the surface, which can be so funny. I remember actually in one of the I don't know if you were there at the time, in a one of the only tragic experiences in my early career, we had a fatality on the drop zone there in Vegas, and nobody knew the guy he was visiting. But everybody is still, I mean, there was a fatality on a small drop zone. We were all busted up. You know, people that didn't even see the guy come to the drop zone were in tears because someone had just died. And I'll never forget, it was Dale and I believe Simon both sitting at a picnic table, eating food and laughing and joking around like nothing was going on. And this was on a weekend, and one of the girls that was there kind of barked at him like, how can you eat and laugh, you know, with this going on? And Dale, without blinking an eye, goes, well, he's still fucking dead, isn't he? And I remember, because I was relatively new in the sport. I'm only a couple of years in, so I didn't have that thick skin yet. And I remember being horrified. And then years and years and years, all these years later, now I look back at it and go, yep, that's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another quick Dale story, just to show how much he didn't give a fuck. Towards the end of my days at Skydive Las Vegas, he was studying to be an EMT. He was going to go work for an ambulance company or something like that. So he always had his books. He would always sit at the table just right inside the hangar, and between jumps or downtime, he'd be studying. So he had 2 or 3 books out on the picnic table, and in his school supplies, he had a ruler, just, you know, because everybody has a ruler in their school supplies. And he's sitting there reading the book, and he's got this ruler in his hand. And this is in the days before smartphones and before digital cameras, so everybody came with a disposable camera. And this girl that I was jumping with she was going to go to the bathroom, and she left her disposable camera on the counter right by the door that went to the hangar. It's like, hey, Dale, let me take your picture. He looks at me, stands up. He's like, all right, hold on. So I got the camera. He turns around, pulls his pants down, shoves the ruler in between his butt cheeks. He's like, all right, go ahead. So I take a picture of Dale, put the camera, you know, wind it, put it back down on the counter where the girl left it. And so she gets home or wherever. She develops her pictures from her fun trip to go skydive. And there's this shirtless British guy with a ruler in his ass in her roll of pictures.
Yep.
And that's Dale.
Yep. Oh, I remember, I forget who made the video. I think it may have been Simon made an awesome year-end video. Started out with a theme song from Reservoir Dogs. And it was fucking great, man. It was just this wonderful collection of all the staff members doing our thing and some fun jumps and then literally dozens and dozens of horrible tandem openings because we were jumping all the F-111 fucking train wrecks, the head low vectors with these horrible openings. And at one point in the video, he walks around the corner with the camera and Dale is waiting, pants around his fucking ankles, bent over with both cheeks spread as wide as he could get them. So you're not just looking at asshole, you're looking at like intestines.
That was Dolan. That was Jim Dolan.
Was that Dolan?
And he was making his asshole talk to the camera.
Yes.
And me being a dumbass, I know exactly what you're talking about. I kind of walk up next to Dolan and I kind of rest my head sideways on top of his ass while he's making his asshole talk like Ace Ventura to Simon.
Yes. But dude, we had so much fun doing that shit though. I remember shooting one video with a tandem student. You were the tandem instructor. And she was sitting at the picnic benches that we had, and we was going to go up in the 206, and you walk up, unbeknownst to her, behind her while I'm doing the interview, and you're doing this bizarre little happy dance behind her. And
yes.
You remember? And then you squat down behind her. She doesn't know this at first, and you're acting like a monkey picking bugs out of her hair.
Yeah.
Yes, while she's trying to do this interview.
You put that on Facebook a few years ago.
Yes, I did. Let's guess.
I remember that.
I still have every single video I've ever shot. I just haven't gotten around. Yeah, every fucking one, including, you remember the one that we did to try and win that car?
Yes.
That was fun too, because they had that car competition. What was it? A Daewoo Laganza.
Yeah.
And we were trying to do that car, that thing, and so we made this funny little silent film, and it ended with you jumping out of the airplane and the cool thing about that jump was, for the video, I climbed out of the airplane in flight and closed the door. So out of a 206 now, the door's closed, and I'm flying around outside with the door closed, and you're inside, and the way we cut it was we never showed the plane taking off. So you climbed into it on the ground, and next thing you know, you're jumping out of it in the air. But you had that big old wooden sign that I'm like, I wonder what he's going to do with that sign come dump time. And you just plopped it back on your belly and pitched, which is awesome.
Yep.
And, of course, we didn't win. Some guy that wrote a fucking song won the car.
Yeah.
Kind of bullshit is that? Right? Right? Well, all right.
Yeah,
no, go ahead.
And the people from the radio station, they wanted to interview everybody about their videos or their submissions. And I remember you were up on a load, and the way that they contacted people, the drop zone, was that payphone outside in the hangar.
Right.
And so I think you were up on a load, so I had to stand by the payphone in case they called. And if I was up, you were standing by the payphone, and they called when you were up there, and I talked to them and tried to build it up. And once I was done, somebody said that I should have told them that I learned how to skydive just to make the video. And I was like, damn it, that would have probably helped a little bit.
That would have been good. That would have, but that would have been fucking cool. Although it was still fun anyway. To be honest, I never thought we were actually going to win the car, but it was definitely fun trying.
Yeah, and after work that day, we had to drive into the auto mall to find a Daewoo dealership so that we could film that last scene.
Yes, I'll never forget any of that stuff. I'll tell you what, that was the Skydive Las Vegas, and that time in the sport it's still looking back is so weird because there's so many things that Hawks did and that environment did that I fucking hated, but there were so many good memories. Like, Jay, did you ever go out and go golfing with JJ after a day of jumping?
Yeah, remember that time we drove the cart in front of him and he tried to hit us?
Yes.
He was teeing off and we messed it up.
Yes. I mean, we'd get to do stuff like that. You'd finish jumping because it was a weekday and you only had a couple of loads, and he would drink a fuckload of booze and I would take a couple of Valium and see who could play worse. See who did worse shit like that. But it was funny because there was a lot of really cool times and then a lot of tragedies, sprinkled around that drop zone as well. Not the least of which was just how ugly it got for a lot of people, which really sucked.
Yeah, it was good for me. I know Michael Hawks is not looked upon favorably by a lot of people, but for me, I could recognize that he would rub people the wrong way, but I always got along well with him. I owe him a debt of gratitude because when I was living in Louisiana, like I mentioned, I was coming off a divorce. I got dumped in this trailer in Louisiana going to school while I was in the National Guard. And I mean, he gave me a chance to go do something away from where I was before. We got along well, and I never asked him about it. He never said anything, but after the first time he yelled at me when I just stood there and took it, and then he just walked off. After that, I think that he would come use me to vent.
Sure.
So if he's mad at the Packers or the whoever's fueling the plane, he'd come and yell at me about the fucking worthless Packers or the worthless fuelers or something like that.
Right.
He'd get it out of the system and he'd walk away. And after the first couple of times, like, hey Weasle, sorry man, I yelled at you. I wasn't mad at you. I was like Michael, I got it, dude. Don't worry about it.
Right.
So he and I got along well, but after I left, I think he kind of, from what I heard, I mean, this is all secondhand stuff. When he went crazy and just said fuck it and locked the doors and kicked everybody out, that did not surprise me.
No. You couldn't maintain that level of fucking anger that he had, which was almost all the time. You know, when I first started there, he actually had some soft edges on him. Like you, he gave me an opportunity that, quite frankly, I should not have had. I started shooting video for Hawks at Skydive Las Vegas before I had 200 skydives, and I'm shooting video.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but the reason I was a tunnel instructor in Vegas in the wind tunnel, and I'd been jumping for outlaw skydiving, the AJ Moeller in Jean in Nevada there. And fuck, AJ, my first tandem jump for him, I had like 30 skydives. It was stupid. Yeah, just crazy. Hence the reason they called it outlaw skydiving, I guess. You know, so I look back at stuff like that, and I'm thankful for Hawks because I never would have been able to start doing what I did, especially not so early. And you absolutely couldn't do that nowadays. But it got so tainted with some of the shit that he did, and it wasn't just shit that he did to me because, quite frankly, outside of calling me a fucking prima donna really loud, he was never that bad to me. But I watched how fucked up he got with a lot of my friends, and that sucked.
Yeah.
You know, that started to rub the wrong way. And I'll remember actually one of the only times that I saw him get what he gave, and you may remember this, he had either done or said something inappropriate to Dale's then wife.
I was not there for that, but I did hear about it.
Oh my God. So Dale, being the extremely imposing, straight out of Snatch, this kind of terrifying Englishman, if you're not his friend, didn't just run up and start screaming at him, didn't do anything like that. He took Michael into the back office and made Michael cry. Because apparently he told him, look, I'll fucking kill you. I'll absolutely destroy you. I guess Michael was like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what was coming over me. And so I kind of felt bad for Michael because as an adult man, the last thing in the world you ever want to happen is that. But I'd seen him do that to so many people that I'm like, all right, that's payback. You know, and so, again, the grudge that I've held on Hawks has been more for how I saw him treat so many of my friends, not so much me. And I kind of am letting go of it some because I've talked a lot of shit about him, so I feel a little bit better.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, I can recognize why people wouldn't like him, but you know, I'm okay with him. I think that I think he may have said something to the effect that I was the first person in years that stopped working at Skydive Las Vegas that left with a handshake and a thank you from him.
Yep. Well, and
normally it's get the fuck out. You're fucking fired.
Right. Well, even when I left, it wasn't really on bad terms. It wasn't like there was a big goodbye with Michael. It was just okay, that's it. You know, so it wasn't stomping feet and screaming and yelling. It was just as of this next week, I'm done. And I don't think we really even had a discussion about it.
Yeah.
So now I hadn't seen you for a while after I left Skydive Las Vegas, and then I went back to stripping for a while and then a bunch of other jobs and ended up working for United Airlines. And we discussed off the podcast, the last time I physically saw you, you were getting on a United Airlines flight, I guess to go into the military when you were doing your flying.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Wherever I was going, it was a long time ago, wherever I was going.
All right, so now is it true they had to train you in a different helicopter than they normally do because you're too fucking big to fit in the regular trainers?
Well, sort of. In flight school, when I went through in 2001 to 2002, for the actual flight training, you start out in a TH-67, which is a Bell 206. It's like the news helicopters you see flying around most of the time.
Sure.
And then after that, you go to what they call combat skills, where you learn actual navigation. You learn more than just how to fly a helicopter. So you actually learn how to get to a certain spot on the ground and how to do landings as if you're in a formation and all that stuff. And that was in an OH-58, which is basically the same shell as a TH-67, but it's a little bit different. So if you are a certain seated height, you don't fit in there. I sat in there with my flight helmet on, and I had to tilt my head about 45 degrees one way or the other because I was too tall.
Wow.
So all the Mongos that they had, they would send to UH-1s. So I was one of the last flight school classes to fly Hueys.
Wow.
For training. Yeah, and that was pretty cool. I mean, at
It's
the end
a
of the
Huey.
day, at the end of the day, it's just another helicopter. But it was just fucking cool to say that at one point in my career, I was a Huey pilot. And the guy I flew with was, his name's Sean McCool. He's about 1.5 inches or 2 inches taller than me. And we had a great time in that helicopter. I mean, it was just a fun helicopter to fly, really easy to fly. And our instructor pilot for Hueys was Hugh Neenan is his name. One of the greatest people I've ever met in the military. He was a retired CW5, and he would have fit in well at a drop zone.
Awesome.
I mean, he's just a dick and fart joke type of guy, and had a good time, taught us well.
Nice.
I learned more in the 6 weeks with him than I did the rest of my flight training.
Well, and I mean, but between flying with cool people and then flying that helicopter, which is just iconic as far as helicopters go, you know, if you say I flew a helicopter in the Army, I would imagine most people, especially my age, instantly think Huey. Yeah, and that's all the movies that we've ever seen. Every military helicopter is either a Huey or one of them massive Russian things. Those are the only two I think of when I think military, you know, but I'm a fixed wing guy, not a rotor guy. Now, is it with the helicopter pilot, you've got to be officer to fly helicopters, yeah?
You've got to be a warrant officer, which is what I was, or a branch officer, commissioned officer.
Okay.
The difference is a warrant officer's job. Let me see if I can remember this from my warrant officer training. Warrant officer's job is to do a specific job for their entire career. The branch officer is to be in that branch. So, for instance, in aviation, they would be a pilot who takes on the leadership roles and moves up through the ranks, and they slowly get away from the flying. But the warrant officer stays flying the whole time.
Gotcha. Okay.
The branch officers outranked us. The newest lieutenant out of ROTC outranked me, but we were above enlisted, so I outranked the sergeant major of the Army. Not that would have any kind of bearing on the outcome of an argument between me and the sergeant major of the Army.
Right. Now, during your time in flying, you were overseas a few times, weren't you?
I was. After the combat skills, we went to advanced aircraft, and I chose Chinook just because it's a sexy motherfucker.
Fucking hell.
Like me. So what they do is they sit you down at the end of flight school, and they up on the chalkboard, they say, okay, we've got this many Black Hawk slots, Chinook, Apaches, and Kiowas. And there's an order of merit list. So how well are you doing your academic tests, your flight evaluation flights and all that? They get a list, and they say, okay, number one on the OML, what do you want? I want Black Hawk. Okay, they race one by the Black Hawk. And I was fortunate enough to be high enough to choose Chinook. And later on, they say, okay, Chinook guys come in here. We've got 3 slots for Campbell, 2 slots for Bragg, 3 slots for Korea, whatever. And then the same thing, you choose where you want to go. So right after flight school, I chose Korea because I heard that there was good flying hours there. So I went to Korea July of 2002. And I was there until January of 2004, and I got some good flying hours there. Came to Fort Bragg, North Carolina from Korea, and we deployed in 2005 to Iraq. Spent almost a year in Iraq. Came home for a year. Recovered from Iraq and prepped for Afghanistan in 2007. Came back in end of 2007. Spent 2008 recovering and preparing for Afghanistan in 2009. So I've done Korea for a year and a half, not a combat tour, but it's an overseas assignment.
Sure.
Iraq in 2005, Afghanistan 2007 and 2009.
Jesus. So without going into detail, you've seen some shit.
Yes and no. Flying Chinooks, we are basically support.
Right.
We fly cargo and troops. We don't have guns. And occasionally we did a lot of deliberate missions, like the air assault type stuff in 2009. But during that deployment, I had been pulled up from flight company to battalion staff. So I was not flying nearly as much as anybody else because I wasn't flying as much as everybody else. I was never involved in the high pressure missions. I was just basically flying, food and water out to people at these FOBs out in the middle of nowhere.
Sure.
But being on battalion staff, we always had a predator feed, live predator feed of these events going on. So I'm watching real time. It's like clear and present danger when they're watching the satellite images of these guys going through these camps. And
sure.
I mean, it's obviously it wasn't nearly as dangerous for me, but I mean, I was really nervous watching our guys going to these shitty, dusty landing areas, and especially with the Chinooks, you're putting out 100-mile-an-hour rotor wash and this 6-inch thick dust, and
right.
All we see is Chinook come in, big cloud of dust. Another Chinook comes in next to him, big cloud of dust, and you got to wait to make sure to see that these guys didn't screw up the landing because they lost visual reference, and thankfully that never happened.
Sure. I mean, you must have, and this happens to me to this day because obviously I'm still flying super actively. At least once a day, I still look around and go, I don't fucking believe they let me do this shit.
Yep.
You must have had that. I mean, you go from, I mean, literally making poor little Japanese men puke in a Twin Otter with me in Las Vegas to flying a Chinook, in Korea and in Iraq and Afghanistan. How you must have just been shaking your head going, man, this is an interesting life I got going.
Yeah, it's funny that when we were flying, we would fly at certain altitudes to avoid being engaged by just random goat farmers with an AK-47. So
sure.
We were far enough off the ground that, you get a good view of, I mean, Afghanistan is, as strange as it sounds, some places in Afghanistan are fucking beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Big mountains, snow-covered mountains. And then you're just flying from, for an hour, nothing going on. Sometimes it's just strange to look around and go, holy fuck, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then you get close to where you're going to land. You're like, oh shit. All right, here we go.
Right.
Hope nobody's waiting on the approach in for me with an AK.
Well, I mean, so you do all that kind of stuff. And then now, talk about another drastic change. You go back to civilian life, retired from the military, chucking drogues again, kind of as a part-time gig and having fun, and you decide, fuck it, I'm going to go back to school, and now you're a chef.
Well, I'm a culinary school graduate. I wouldn't quite call myself a chef.
I'm calling you a chef. Fuck them, I'm calling you a chef. Yeah.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I doing the tandem instructor thing for so long, it never got boring. There was always something going on.
Sure.
But towards the end, it stopped being as fun as it was, and I wanted to stop doing tandems before I hated it.
Right.
So I got out in 2014. I was working at the drop zone down here in Rayford, and there was a buyout and a changeover, and they kind of got rid of all the old staff. So I started working weekends up in Raleigh. And at a certain point in about 2015, I was like, I've been throwing drogues for however long. I just got out of the Army. I don't have a real job. I got to figure out something to do. So I took most of 2016. I hiked the Appalachian Trail and to figure out what the hell I wanted to do with my life.
Sure.
And I'd always been interested in cooking, so culinary school is something in the back of my mind. And when I was on the trail, I met a bunch of people that had worked in food service industry, talked to them, and there's one guy that I met from Florida who was probably mid-50s. He said one of his friends from high school had gone to culinary school not too long ago, kind of a second career thing like I was doing, and got out of culinary school, and she started a food truck business.
Mm.
And I thought to myself, I'm doing that.
That's awesome.
And literally my last night on the Appalachian Trail, it was October 20th of 2016. I was at a shelter just outside of Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, and there was a military guy there with this kid, and he was about to deploy. And so he and I were talking, and I mentioned that I was retired. So I said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm looking at culinary school. He said, where do you live? told him North Carolina. He said, hey, there's a school in Charlotte called Johnson and Wales University. They have a campus in Rhode Island, and my son goes there. So I'm talking to him about his son. And so I finished the Appalachian Trail the very next day, go to a hostel to shower, get ready to go home. And I get on that computer and I start looking at Johnson and Wales University in Charlotte. I applied, and within a year, that's where I went to school.
Awesome.
I mean, it's just kind of weird how that worked out. Thought about going to culinary school, found out about one close to home, and
that all came to you on the trail. That's cool, because I remember Nisha, your wife, was posting about it quite regularly. So myself and I'm sure a lot of other people were following your progress. You did the whole trail, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. In 2016, the official length of the trail was 2,189.2 miles between northern Georgia up to central Maine. And I hiked from Georgia to West Virginia, took a train up to Maine, and then came back down to West Virginia. So I did the whole trail, just not from end to end. I did it from end to middle, then other end back to the middle.
How cool is that? I mean, what a fucking great way to especially after everything, because you're already talking about 2 careers in the bag. What a great way to kind of find your new self and go, all right, something, fuck it, I'm going to go for a nice long walk and think about this shit. Yeah,
the AT is probably the most defining thing in my life, because I mean, it's a very, very clean transition from a military career back into real life as a civilian.
Sure.
And being on the trail, walking 10, 12 hours a day, you have nothing to do but think.
Sure.
So you got lots of times to figure out a lot of shit going on in your life. If that's what you need.
Well, and I had obviously a dramatically smaller version of that when I did the Everest Base Camp Trail, and it's the same thing. I mean, pretty much from sun up to sundown, you're walking, and it's just you. Yep. I mean, there's other people around, but it's just you just thinking. That's it.
Yep.
Enjoying the scenery and letting whatever thoughts come. And it's a great way to just kind of do a reset. I did a talk a while back with a couple of friends of mine who actually do kind of therapy groups all based around hikes and long trail walks and stuff. And it's been really, really good for them. Barry and Sydney Williams do that. And it's along the lines of that kind of thing. They do a lot of hiking all around California, and they were going to do some other stuff all around the country. And they get these big groups together. And it's just basically a big walking therapy group to fucking hash shit out while you're stomping around the trail. It's a great way to do it.
I can't tell you how effective it is for everybody else, but for me, it's exactly what I needed.
Yeah, for sure. Now, tell me about the truck. So you've gone through the school. I know you've already started things. I think you've already got a business name. Tell me about it.
Yeah, just because most of my entrepreneurship classes were based on starting a business. I'm doing air quotes business, because everybody else in the class, they're 20 years old, 21 years old, and they have no idea what they're going to do. So I knew I was going to do a food truck. So everything I did in class was actually real life stuff. And since I didn't have an actual name or anything, all I've got right now is Wetzel's Food Truck LLC is what my actual business name is. I don't have an actual DBA yet, but still working on that. So I've got the business license. I bought a truck, and it was a used truck, already put together as a food truck, and had to get some work done on it. So I took it in on the 1st of September, and these fucking clowns at Freightliner still have it, fixing the brakes a month and a half later. But once I get the truck back, I've got to get local inspections from the county. I've got a commissary facility set up, because you're not allowed to work out of your house, and you can't work solely out of your truck. You have to have a fixed base.
Right.
So I've got a local restaurant that's going to let me rent space from them. So I just need a few inspections. I'm going to keep the old graphics on it right now, just so I can get started and make some money and get a new wrap here one of these days. But best case scenario, I can be up in business from about 3 weeks after I get my truck, whenever these jackasses get done with my brakes.
Sure. Dude, how excited are you?
I'm ready to go.
Awesome.
I was working on the truck, cleaning it and doing a little bit of maintenance on the water reservoir and stuff in the middle of the summer, and North Carolina, it's rough, man.
Oh, I
Even
bet.
with the fan on and the vent pumping air, it's just miserable. So now that it's getting cool here, I'm ready to get that truck back and get it up and running.
Sure. Now, is this going to be one? Have you already thought about like routes, or are you going to go park yourself at the drop zone? And because I mean, I'm guessing that's a great, at least initial place to start and maybe work some bugs out. Is it a DZ?
Yeah, the DZ here in town in Rayford, they've got their own restaurant. It's established since probably mid '70s. But the drop zone where I was working in Raleigh, I talked to the owner. Said, hey, I'm starting a food truck and was wondering if you'd let me come park up there once I'm up and running. He said, let me know. He said, just once you're up and running, let me know and we'll work something out. Because they've been getting random food trucks about once every 2 to 3 weeks. And it sounds like he's going to let me get into the rotation up there.
Awesome.
Plus we've got a decent brewery scene down here in the Fayetteville area. And many of them don't have their own restaurants, so food trucks go there.
Mm.
And there's one that has been doing. Nisha works at a physical therapy clinic here in town. She bought into it, so now she's part owner. My wife's a business owner before I am.
Right.
Well, I'm okay with that. Sugar Mama's got me covered.
She's a fuckload more responsible than you, though.
Oh hell yeah! But their business did kind of a business to business thing last year with one of the local breweries here, and I've heard through the grapevine that they are going to let me park there occasionally, work into their rotation.
Awesome. Dude, I mean, it sounds to me like you've got it pretty much summed up. It's just a matter of getting the truck and getting it dialed in. I think I told you in a conversation we had a couple of weeks ago that instantly, as soon as you said food truck, I pictured your version of that movie Chef. Like I just picture that kind of a vibe from you in a food truck, and I'd imagine it instantly seemed like, oh yes, that's the perfect fit. He would fucking love that. It just seems to fit your personality.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think I'm going to do well. I'm very fortunate to be in a position in life right now where I'm not desperate for money.
Sure.
My wife's she's she's in the medical field, so she's been working this whole time during the pandemic. I've got a decent paycheck from the government every month for my retirement. So I don't have to get out there and I don't have to do anything. So with the lack of that kind of pressure, I'm having a lot more fun than most people who aren't as fortunate as I am. And
sure.
I recognize it and I'm grateful.
Well, fuck, dude. I mean, come on. You earned it. You've put in your fucking hard knocks all the way down the line. So, I mean, don't feel guilty at all, man. Enjoy that shit. And it's good that you know and you're smart enough to know how well off you are, which is, it makes it that much better.
Yeah.
Well, and I have to, again, we haven't spoken. We already figured this out. We've only talked via text. We have not spoken in probably 18 years.
Something like that, yeah.
So this was fucking awesome, but now I actually get to thank you by voice for the hot sauces that you sent me, and tell you what an idiot I was when you sent me the powdered hot sauce and were very adamant about don't sniff this, and the first fucking thing I did was open it up and sniff it.
How long were you sneezing after that?
Oh, dude, sneezing and eyes watering. And of course, while I'm seizing up on the kitchen floor, I'm first off laughing, thinking, thank you, Weasle. And then I'm thinking, how many people can I get to sniff this?
Oh, man.
That's all I was thinking.
What you got to do is, I found this out the wrong way, but I will let you benefit from it. If you really want to get them, do you still have it in that little tube?
Yes.
Shake it first, open it, and then let them sniff it. So some of those particles are airborne inside the tube, so they get a good whiff.
Awesome, dude. Well, you always got to learn from other people's experiences and mistakes, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Well, and I'm already kind of known for the hot sauce pranks because you've seen the show Hot Ones, of course.
Oh, yes.
So the worst of those hot sauces, to this day, the hottest hot sauce, and I have now officially tried a 6 million Scoville hot sauce, which is not nearly as bad as the bomb. The bomb is fucking horrible. It's the most it's just the most vicious thing I've ever tasted. And my poor girlfriend at the beginning of the pandemic fell victim to my fucked up sense of humor when in the romantically lit, candlelit house, I dipped her toothbrush into the bomb and then wiped it off just a little bit. And in the candlelight, she couldn't see that the toothbrush was slightly discolored. And I'm shooting video, of course, on my iPhone from the hallway with just flickering candle lights, and all you hear is the water stop running, quiet, and then fuck you over and over and over again, and you just hear me with that horrible wheezing giggle on the camera, the entire time. So she's already paid the price for my fucked up sense of humor, so she knows I won't get her with that tube, but there's lots of other people I can.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Dude, I cannot tell you how fucking great it's been to catch up with you.
Yeah, man, it's great talking to you. It's one thing to chit chat on Facebook, but it's always better to actually talk.
Yes. Well, we're gonna have to do it again because I know between the two of us, we've got just from our Skydive Las Vegas time, we've probably got 100 truly fucked up stories that will be hilarious to share. So we'll consider this podcast just part one.
Yeah, we'll go over the Mitch and Wedge stories next time.
Oh yes, absolutely. Brother, take care, man. Much love.
All right, man. Good talking to you.
See ya. All right, another super fun episode of Lunatic Fringe Into the Void in the Can. Brought to you, as always, by the greatest fucking magazine in the known universe, Blue Skies Magazine. Head to blueskiesmag.com where you can subscribe to the magazine. You know the spiel. Hear all the really cool shit. Also submit those photos, submit those article ideas. Brought to you also by pussfoot.com. Pussfoot.com is an extreme sports collective. Type in the website, check it out. Also brought to you by Summit Parachute Systems. Summit Parachute Systems has got Jarrett Martin running the whole show, making amazing pilot bailout rigs and giving kick-ass rigging courses as well. So summitparachutesystems.com. For me, I am the fucking pilot. You're going to head to thefuckingpilot.net to get this and all the other podcasts as well as both the books. That's the Fucking Pilot book and the Accidental Stripper in digital and print. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.